Today on 10-Minute IT Jams, we're joined by Chris Smith, who is the Chief Revenue Officer at Aqua Security. With the right security, Cloud Native will transform organizations across the globe. That's why Aqua Security innovates to accelerate your cloud transformation. They apply their experience to your security challenges and stop attacks on your Cloud Native applications. Chris joins us today to tell us more about Aqua Security and how they are helping businesses in the ANZ region. Thank you for coming along, Chris, and welcome to the Jam.
Thank you for having me. Delighted to be here.
Thank you very much. Well, let's get straight into it. For a simple explainer, what does Aqua Security do?
If I may, I just want to take a small detour. Before I talk about what we do, I just want to talk about the market dynamics for just a second.
Of course.
The world, of course, is developing cloud native applications, and they're doing that because they're scalable and they get agility, optimization of cost, resilience, reliability out of it. And if you put it in perspective, today, 51% of financial services, government, critical infrastructure, care companies are developing in cloud native applications. But the amazing piece to this is that it's going to be 95% in 3 years. So if you look at that, it's a pervasive transformation that's happening. And there's a need. Well, what's the need? The need is that these applications weren't historically developed with security in mind. So what? Well, likely they're not secure because they weren't architected for that. And we know this because we have honeypots all over the world. We're seeing 82,000 daily attacks on these applications. And so that really gets into why Aqua. And our solution is that we stop cloud native attacks, code to cloud and back. We see what others don't. We stop what they can, and we flat out guarantee it.
Well, now, what challenges or pain points is Aqua Security solving?
Yeah, so if you look at CISOs, they're chartered with protecting applications. But if we dial back 2 years, depending on the company, 3 years, these applications weren't as pervasive as they are now. And the CISO's charter wasn't to secure them. But they've been being put into the wild for 5 to 7 years. And so these applications are coming out 100 times faster than applications in the past. And it's because they're simple to build and deploy. So what these CISOs really need, they need lightning fast visibility. We call that seeing what's happening. And they also need to reduce the noise. They need a way to validate between real and ethereal attacks. And this means that they really need to see what's happening in production. And of course, it doesn't stop there. They need to stop nefarious activity and fix issues quickly. And we call that find fast, quickly prioritize, and fix fast. And that really goes all the way back to developers in the line of code and reducing mean time to repair. And the last thing I would say is there are a lot of different tools along this production line, from developing through actually monitoring applications in production. And they all have different versions of the truth. But with us, they have one version of the truth because it's an integrated platform.
Well, now, what is the biggest security challenge that Australian businesses are facing?
Yeah, so if you look at Australia in particular, and I've had the pleasure in the past week to meet with several CISOs, I've heard a consistent theme. And what is that? That they really need to get their eyes around the cloud native threat landscape. And that's really just the beginning. What they want to do, there are a lot of different technologies out there, but they don't do a good job of sifting out ethereal threats from real threats. And so after you do that, they really need the ability to be able to stop them in real time, and then get back to the line of code, which is really mean time to repair. They need to fix them after they've seen them and stuff. And that's a lot of what I heard from CISOs last week.
Well, now, what is the SOCI Act and why is it so important?
This is an interesting one, because if I look at this act, it mirrors a lot of the things that we've seen in other areas. So it's a legislative act, of course. It's the Australian government, and SOCI stands for, by the way, Security of Critical Infrastructure Act. And what is it? It's governance. It's heavily regulated, and it's going to be enforced for protecting 11 of the critical industries from what? Cyber incidents. And it's attributed to sabotage or espionage or coercion. And really, this is in alignment with a lot of things we've seen in the regulatory acts like HIPAA and PCI. And another thing that I've noticed is that it really mirrors Aqua's investment in getting FedRAMP certified for the US government. So I think it's going to be good for market. There's a lot of hurdles that people have to get through, but I think it ultimately is going to be very good for the Australian market.
Well, now, I guess, can you talk to what Aqua Security is doing in ANZ specifically?
Sure. So we've been in ANZ for about 4.5 years, but about 2 years ago, I hired a gentleman named Rob D'Amico, and he's my general manager for APJ. He's based out of Sydney, where I happen to be today. And this is one of our fastest growing markets. Their massive adoption for cloud and also security. And if you look at the last 18 months, we've launched Aqua Cloud Security Platform in APJ. And this is really attributed for driving 3x the year-over-year growth. The only thing that I would say is we are humbled and privileged because we have earned the trust of the largest banks, government entities, and telecommunications. And that's all happened in the last 18 months.
Well, I guess finally, to finish off, why is the time for cloud native in ANZ now?
You know, I think if you look at why it's now, I think it's similar to a lot of the other government agencies that we have and some banking agencies that we have, and everything that we've seen specifically in other markets. These applications, as I stated earlier, are everywhere. They're growing. They're not going away. 95% of the enterprise are going to be utilizing them, and they need to be secured because these applications are just wrappers for critical infrastructure and the crown jewels of companies. So the ability to be able to see what's happening, stop bad things from happening, it's here. And the other thing I would say, it's going to be a competitive differentiator because a company, a bank, as an example, that is able to keep their bank's company out of the headlines versus another one is going to be a competitive differentiator, and that means that they're going to have a really strong and impactful security posture.
Well, it has been a pleasure having you on the jam, Chris, and hearing more about Aqua Security and what you guys do. We look forward to hearing more from Aqua very soon.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.